My first question to you, who is using volume ultrasound in the daily practice? That's good. Yeah, fantastic. And are you using one of these fantastic Volutions over here? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, perfect. Yeah, that sounds good. So there's still some work for us to do, I see. Not all the hands, so that's really good. Um, as you can see, in all the Volutions that you can see on this image, you can do volume ultrasound. Of course, in some of them, they are more advanced as the other one. But the basics I would like to show you, you can do with all of the systems. So let's go and let's start. And I think it's so important that Voluson is really dedicated to women's health and also dedicated to gynecology. Because if you can see already, if you go to the Voluson Club, for example, you can see already very nice white papers that you produce. And also thank you, Angela, for your help on this one. And it's really teaching also. Of course, we sell ultrasound machines, but also we would like to give a really good follow-up by teaching hands-on, and that's also what you can see on this one. So very nice posters that we produced. But let's really go from the basics, 2D to 3D. I think when you go back to your pre-university school, you always talk about pixels, and then in volume ultrasound, you talk about voxels, isn't it? Sometimes you wake up, it's like, oh no, I have to do these exams with pixels and voxels, isn't it? So, but now let's try to do it together, and let's think about volume ultrasound. Volume ultrasound are voxels. So what is happening? So you put all 2D slices, images, you all put them all together like this. And so one image, another, and then you have a volume, of course. And you have, like me, it's 3D. Then you talk about voxels, and that's the same with Voluson imaging. So let's have a look. So if you have a 3D probe, I think most of you are using this one also in gynecology. So that's the 3D. And what actually is happening when you press the 3D button, and you press start, you see the element inside the probe is making this nice sweep for you. In the past, maybe you remember when you started with ultrasound, you also had these technologies that you had to make the sweep yourself. Maybe you remember, maybe I'm now telling my age, I'm a bit older, but you had to press a pedal, and you had to make a sweep, and then you had to be lucky. A 3D could take 2 hours. So let's hopefully now it's a bit faster. So that's really good, because this time, and of course, this was research and working on volumes, but this is happening in your probe. So this is a 2D image. But when we talk about 3D, let's go to this one. The probe is making this sweep, and actually what you will see is this. I think most of you saw these images. When you hold the probe, you press the 3D button, you press start, and then you will see this is happening on your screen. Actually, this is a volume. So you store it. Please, let's also have a look this afternoon where to store volumes. Because it's a pity that the volume is not stored in the right way, because there's a lot of data, of course, in this volume. So then, of course, you can also go from a 3D, then you take one slice out, then you have a 2D image again. So let's go back again. So I have the volume over here, and I can stop it wherever I want, isn't it? So this is so great that you have the volume and keep the volume and store it in the right way, because that's all the data. Now I would like to have your brain working again. You all had your coffee, so that should be okay. So when you start with an image, so it depends, of course, a bit on the protocol, but for me, I always start with the sagittal view. And then automatically in the 3D, you get also the transverse view and the coronal view, isn't it? So this is, and in Voluson and in 3D ultrasound, for me, this is the A plane, B plane, C plane. That's also what you see in these 3 images on your Voluson. So the first one, we always call it A plane, then B plane, and then C plane. So question for you. Of course, I started the A plane in the sagittal view. Could I also start in a different view? So I have my probe, I hold it like this, I press 3D, I see a very nice sagittal view of the uterus. Can I also do it differently? Yes, I could also turn the probe and then make a volume. That means that your A plane will be the transverse view of the uterus, and then the B plane will be the sagittal view. Yeah, it's always 90 degrees. You see, now your brain has to work, huh? So that's really good. A plane, the B plane is always 90 degrees of the A plane. So that's already the first start of volume ultrasound. Then we have XX, YX, and ZX. So it's very easy to explain when I'm standing here. So when you look at me, so the XX is always in the X like this. You take a big stick, you put it in me. This is the XX. The YX is this one. Now you put a stick and you just put it in me like this. The ZX, you take the stick again and you just put it in my belly. Okay, you just like this. What is happening when I turn the XX? What is the XX? It was this one, eh? This one. XX is like this. And I think you see on your Foluson, you see XX, YX, ZX, isn't it? How do you change the axis? Do you like, let's try this one, this one. Ah, it's this one. Yes, I think some people are still using this one. But now, after this fantastic course, you know exactly which button to press. When I turn the XX, what will I do? Yeah, not completely, please. So I do like this, okay? Because you wanted me to turn me completely around, but no. The YX? What is the YX? Just think. Just we all together. So there's no. Of course, there's room to speak loud or whatever. So let's YX. What is the YX? What's this one? Now you turn the YX. What will I do? What will I do? Exactly. You see, like this. And now the ZX. It's this one. This one. Exactly. Yeah, you all want me to turn like this, but it will be like this, okay? So what X will you turn when this evening at 7 o'clock and the game will start, okay? I have to do like this, but but that's really important that you know XX, YX, ZX. Just try also with the hands-on, XX, YX, ZX. Actually, what are these buttons doing? After this course, it's not allowed anymore to try. It's really like, XX, I have to turn it, and it will happen like this. Then we have A plane, B plane, C plane, already what I explained. Here is the sagittal view of the uterus. B plane is always 90 degrees, and this one is the coronal view. If this one is sagittal, it was not raining anything. Didn't bring any wet metal, so sorry. What an exciting presentation, huh? No problem. Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's working. Yeah, can you hear me? Yes, perfect. So here is the A plane, B plane, C plane. So now we have A plane, B plane, C plane, XX, YX, ZX. So these are really important terminologies in 3D. So let's go. I always explain it like I like food. So XX is always the barbecue, because you saw already turning me around. The YX is your kebab. And then if you have food for the ZX, I could not find food yet. So for me it's a clock, because it's turning like this. But it's just to remember a bit of what is happening in the different axes. So when I turn the Y-axis in this image, what will be the outcome? Who wants to volunteer? I turn this one, this image, this volume, I turn it on the kebab, like this. What will happen? Let's see. If I put this image on, do you understand what happened? Yeah, because actually you can also think about you take the whole uterus and you just turn it like this because it's a volume. You can completely turn it around. And that's 90 degrees. Then we have this one. What will happen? You turn it, the x-axis. What was the x-axis? I see already some hand. Yes, perfect. You turn it like this, and what will be the outcome in the image? Let's have a look. Yeah, see, it's getting really, you're getting there. So it's really about turning x-axis, y-axis, A-plane, B-plane. So it's really this one. I'm sure that sometimes, for me, this image, and I'm a Dutch sonographer, for me this is upside down. But how would you turn it around? How would you know? Yeah, I can see it already. So if you do it like this, it's a clock. That means the only thing what's happening is this one. Because you just take the whole volume and you turn it like this, isn't it? Then, of course, now we have the basics. So you make a volume, you have A plane, B plane, C plane, you have X-axis, Y-axis, Z-axis. And then, of course, you said, hey, how do you make this nice rendered imaging? Of course, we're going to do it in the hands-on session, but let's do some basics, okay? So this one is called 3D rendering. As you already heard in the former lecture, is that think about it as a camera. So this line, as you can see it over here, this line is your camera line. So just think about that you put your camera like this, and this is your render line, okay? And then it's possible, because this line is, for example, looking from down to up. It's also possible with my camera also to look up, down, and left, right. I can also turn my whole camera, and that's actually the basics. So you don't have to be scared about render modes. It's like a camera, isn't it? Just think about a camera. And then, on the Ultrasound you have a lot of technologies. I always said it's thanks to Roland, he also explained it as a Swiss knife. And look, you can do rendering, VCI, OmniView, focal, inversion mode, TUI, sono AVC. That means that your patient will be in your clinic for 2 hours, isn't it? So pick the right technologies that you need to do. For example, sono AVC, what Angela explained so nicely, it's a very valuable tool. I think also the VCI, it's very nice, but also after a while you're getting so used to use this rendering VCI that it's getting more automatically. But try for your clinic and your department maybe to make a kind of protocol what you would like to do. So that makes it really that you stimulate how to use 3D ultrasound. So VCI is just a click of a button. VCI, you can see it in the hands-on later on. And then you have VCI in the C plane, you can do it in all the planes. So that's really nice to use. And then you have the OmniView. And now with the new Photosols, you have a uterine trace. We will teach you later that you see the uterus in the sagittal view. And on the touchscreen, you can draw the line, and then automatically the Photoson will do the rendering, or will do the C-plane automatically. So that's a really interesting technology, because you want to see the uterine malformations. And this helps you. So this is really nice. So this is the OmniView. So it's not just a straight line, but you can really follow from the endometrium to the cervical part completely. And then you see the image over here. And then we have the classification of uterine anomalies. So if you're not part of the Photoson club, so let's have a look later on, also with the hands-on, how you can get a member in version mode. That was the first step of the sonar AVC, because then it continued, of course, that you have this automatic technology to count follicles and sizes. But again, look at this one. Just think about as a camera, so you can really turn things around. You can put it upside down, left and right. Just think about a camera, okay? So parallel shift is also a very nice one, because if you have stored the volume in your Voluson, you can still scroll to the whole volume. And this is so valuable because you have all the data in your volume. So please use this one. So also, at this one, for example, you can do a parallel shift to a VCI. So works very nice. And that's all the tips and tricks we're going to give you during the hands-on, because I think it's so important that you know where the buttons are and that you feel familiar with different render modes. And this one, of course, there will be fantastic dedicated sessions to sonar AVC. With one press of a button, then you have the amount of follicles and the sizes of the follicles. And this is so great, because that's really great work from the clinic, from Angela. So you were the first one who were adapting to the sonar AVC. Because I know when you bring a new technology on the market, of course it takes time. With your clinic, you were right away, so this is what we want. And fantastic papers, and it saves you a lot of time. But we have hands-on later on to use this, because you can also use it offline, for example, that you don't need to do it with the patient. And then, but let's have a discussion later on. Okay, this is so nice that you have a dedicated session on this one. And of course, focal. If you want to have volumes, dedicated volumes like this, so that's the button focal, and then you have to trace the volume. So that's also what we're going to do with the hands-on. And then you can also slice your volume, because you already have a whole volume, so why not make the whole volume like this? Take some slices out of the volume and present these images like this, like almost like compared to an MRI or a CT, because you take slices out of the volume. So that works also excellent. So we're going to have a look at the hands-on. Then also the enteral follicle. That's also part of the sonar AVC. That's also a dedicated session, so I don't need to go into too much details, because for me it was really important that you know what kind of technologies are available on the Voluson. Do you have any questions? Because I have a lot of questions for you. I have a question. What will be the score Netherlands, Argentina? That's a really important question. No, sorry, a clinical question. What question? Yeah, of course. Yeah.
At the end,
yeah.
and all the questions left for the discussion, so we can.
Because I have a question. So Roland, give me this slide. So I love this slide about 3D. So question for you. What is the first? So Roland is working a lot with Dr. Hildebrand from a zoo in Berlin, and he makes 3D of animals. So really nice. So let's see. Question for you. What is the first one? First one.
Wow.
Second one. Hey. This one. This one.
Yes. Ooh.
Maybe an idea for a new clinic. No. Thank you very much, Roland, for providing these slides, and thank you for listening for the basics of the 3D, and really looking forward to the hands-on. So thank you again. Thank you.
So thank you, Pieter, for a great talk as usual. And the next talk, while we change computer, will be by Adela Rodriguez, who's the radiologist at our clinic. And since she was a second year, actually a first year resident, she's been teaching us a lot about how to do ultrasound in GYN patients. And she's